Good day! You are about to embark on an easy and effective program to help your students in class. CoordiClass has been developed to provide an easy and structured way to give the important movement breaks for your class. Children, and in fact all people, differ vastly in the time they can sit still and concentrate on task. Please listen to the webinar Sensory Motor Skills to ensure that you understand our mindset and why these exercises are important. Movement breaks at regular times throughout the day provide the much-needed movement to encourage optimal concentration. To get out of your chair, to stretch and to stand around help a little bit, but as these are not structured, these typical movement breaks often do not have the desired effect on the students. Movement breaks should involve the vestibular proprioceptive or movement sensations. Specific movements activate the reticular activating system to encourage optimal concentration. Rhythm has a regulating effect on the brain and on the body to prepare both for learning. Sounds and listening prepare the child to focus on the teacher's voice. Structured movements that involve both sides of the body activates both hemispheres of the brain to encourage whole brain thinking. CoordiClass follows very specific movements to ensure that these breaks will be effective and beneficial. You only have to put the video recording on and the class can follow the exercises. Teacher training is important to understand the background and the way these exercises were developed. I'm sure you want to know why the students have to do specific exercises. The reticular activating system, RAS, is a set of connected nuclei in the brain that is responsible for regulating arousal and sleep-wake transitions. The reticular activating system also helps mediate transitions from relaxed wakefulness to periods of high attention. The RAS is a filter. It decides how much sensory information should reach the conscious mind. For example, you are now listening to my voice. Thus, the RAS is filtering out other sensations to help you to focus on my voice. It filters the sensation of the clothes on your skin, the feeling of the chair under your seat, the feeling of the floor under your feet, some background noises in the room where you are sitting, and probably some visual images in the room that might distract you from the visual images on the screen. However, if this filter doesn't function effectively, it might pass too many sensory information to the different areas of the brain, and you might be distracted by other sounds, images, or touch experiences, and these might impact on your ability to pay attention to the task. If the RAS filters too many sensations, you will feel lethargic, the sound of my voice will fail, and you might fall asleep. Through the research, careful observations, and experiments, we have identified specific activities to encourage optimal functioning of the RAS. These are often recommended as part of a child's sensory diet to encourage the ability to sit still in class and to pay attention in class. Every set of exercises in CoordiClass contains these elements. A set of exercises includes sensations from the vestibular proprioceptive system. This system relies on sensations from the inner ear, head movements, from the muscles, and from the joints. It involves contracting and or stretching of the muscles. We have included a mouth and tongue movements as well. Mouth and tongue movements are strong muscles and have a specific effect on the RAS to assist with self-regulation and thus concentration. Rhythm and the crossing of the midline of the body are important to address both hemispheres of the brain and to prepare the brain to focus on task. Many areas in the brain are activated when both sides of the body move rhythmically. We have included specific sounds to accompany movement. Auditory sensations used with movements will activate the listening areas and make it easier for students to focus on the teacher's voice, following the exercise routine. As teachers and therapists, we often talk about a child's behavior. Quite often, these behaviors are not so much more than the child's body reacting to sensations in the environment. We are all moving up and down on a continuum between sensory seeking and sensory avoiding behavior. We do this in an effort to regulate our responses. Regulated responses ensure typical behavior that provides the opportunity for focused attention. When children can regulate their responses, we call it efficient self-regulation. A seeker needs intense sensations, for example, movement, to self-regulate, whereas an avoider needs less sensation, for example, enjoys to sit still. A seeker has a high threshold for sensations, and an avoider a low threshold. You will find that the students in your class, and for that matter the teachers in the canteen, have vastly different thresholds for the different sensations. You might ask a few questions in the class or amongst your colleagues, and you'll soon find a group who avoids strong flavored food, a group who needs to move and exercise daily, a group who dislikes noisy environments, a group who prefers visual learning, and of course you'll find other groups who are the exact opposite. This is typical for any group of adults or children. You might find a number of students who are moving to the extremes of this threshold. They might be labeled as picky eaters. They might present with an inability to sit still. They might be overwhelmed in auditory or visually busy environments. These students might have sensory processing issues, and it is important to identify and address these issues. You are welcome to discuss this on the free Skype consultation with one of our experts. CoordiClass uses the different sensations to regulate the reticular activating system, as explained before. This encourages optimal concentration and focused attention. The effect of intense movement, vestibular proprioceptive sensations, can last as long as 5 to 6 hours. You might have experienced this after intense exercises in the gym, but especially after you have participated in exercises or activities that involve head movements, such as specific forms of dancing, gymnastics, and yoga. CoordiClass provides short spurts of structured movements over 5 to 10 minutes, which will affect concentration for 1 to 2 hours. This enables any teacher to use it at regular times throughout the day for any age group. You might use these exercises as well to help you to focus during lengthy periods of concentration, such as marking papers or studying. In our experience, it is ideal to provide movement breaks every 2 hours, depending on the activity the children are busy with. If they have breaks in which they participate in movement games on the playground, they might not need it as often. Younger children need more movement than older students. However, younger classes are often regularly involved in movements, whereas senior schools provide limited opportunity. Older students tend to sit and to stand during breaks, rather than using movement. Therefore, they might benefit from CoordiClass often during the day. Older students might need movement directly after a break. They often sit and stand during breaks, which does not encourage optimal concentration. They might have been outside, but all of them were sitting in the shade or sun, resting their minds from schoolwork, but not preparing the RAS for focused attention. Before you decide that the class doesn't need CoordiClass because they were involved in physical activity, analyze the activity in which they participated. For example, they might have been involved in a game of cricket or baseball, but only one student might have been actively running, while the others were observing. In addition to addressing the effectiveness of the RAS, CoordiClass also addresses the sensory motor skills and encourage optimal development of balance, brain bridging, sequencing, and rhythm. Improvement in the sensory motor skills can be seen in improved balance, improved postural control, improvement in the ability to sit still, and improvement in concentration. As the program follows the normal developmental phases, you might note that a specific child enjoyed and found the first few weeks easy, but then struggles when the exercises addresses the higher levels of development. This provides the opportunity to identify these issues and to refer the child to an occupational therapist, a physiotherapist, or an exercise physiologist. There are a few signs to look out for while the students are participating in exercises. These signs usually indicate that the child is struggling and is having difficulty to complete the exercises with the same ease as peers. Clown behavior includes being silly, falling over, making silly jokes, and pretending that these exercises are too easy and too simple for him or her. Clown behavior is to me one of the best indicators that the child is struggling. This is more often seen in boys than in girls. Students might refuse to participate, walk out of the classroom when the video is about to play, or generally doesn't do the exercises properly and might say something like, "I don't need this," or "I hate this stupid video." A child might look clumsy or awkward while doing the exercises and might make many mistakes with direction and position of the body, bumping into others, falling over furniture, or over objects. Some children seem to try their best, does it correctly, but looks anxious and stressed, as if it takes a lot of energy to complete the exercises. Please look out for these signs and support the children with difficulties by referring them to professionals or inform their parents. If you see one or more of the mentioned signs in a child, please be patient and supportive. It means that the child is struggling. If the child struggles with these exercises, he or she might be struggling with many other activities and tasks during the day, and it might cause frustration, anxiety, and even a meltdown. It is important to read the child and to put the child at ease with words such as, "I'll help you." "Others find this difficult as well. Let us repeat this." Or, "Just try. You don't have to do it perfectly." Try to adjust an exercise to make it easier for the child without drawing too much attention to the child and to his or her problem. In the younger child, it might be appropriate to teach the child the specific movement individually, or to support the child physically while doing the exercise. For example, to hold the child's hand while balancing. If many of the students in the class struggle with a specific exercise, you should repeat the previous set of exercises. Remember, the program follows the normal developmental phases. Thus, if they struggle with an exercise, it means that the previous level is not developed effectively. If it is only one child, you need to weigh different options. For example, does the child struggle with many other tasks in the classroom? Please refer for occupational therapy assessment. Or does the child usually have oppositional behavior? Please consider referral to a psychologist. And if the child is in general clumsy in other tasks as well, consider extra exercises, referral for assessment by an occupational therapist, a physiotherapist, or we have spent time to choose music at the beginning of each set of exercises that will become a familiar signal to put pens down, move to your spot, and be ready for CoordiClass. We did not put any words in, but the music will become this signal if you reinforce it during the first few days or weeks. The program is designed to be used over 30 weeks. You are welcome to repeat the exercises of previous weeks. Be positive about the program. If you feel positive about it, your students will too. Initially, you might need to put some effort in to ensure that they understand what is expected. But after a day or two, the children will follow with ease, giving you a few minutes to catch your breath. Read the tips before each exercise and ensure that you follow these. Your students are working hard during the day and you want them to perform at optimal levels. Make these movement breaks fun. Participate with them from time to time. Ensure there are time for a few good laughs, and your students will be ready to sit and work again. Explain the program to the children before the onset. Make sure that they understand that it will be for their benefit, that it is nothing but movement to be enjoyed and to help the brain to focus on the work again. It is important that you explain to your students why they are participating in these exercises. Younger students tend to do what the teacher expects of them, but when you have a bunch of teenage boys, it is vitally important to present this on their level and to make it fun and pleasant for them. As their teacher, you will know what the best approach should be to engage them in a positive way. They should understand that this is for their own benefit and to enjoy, not to please you or anybody else. Explain how the reticular activating system works and how it can benefit them. You can use slide 3 to explain the RAS. Put the emphasis on how good they'll feel after the exercises and not on how hard they'll be working after. These exercises have been chosen to improve concentration, but also because we have seen how much children enjoy it. Children might look reluctant, but they usually embrace the opportunity to move. If this is followed by a period of improved concentration and increased work speed, they should soon feel and see the benefit and look forward to these movement breaks. The variety of exercises ensure that your students will not find this boring and that they will look forward to meet the challenge of the next set of exercises. You can repeat sets of exercises or you can skip 1 or 2 sets. It is your choice. However, please keep in mind that the exercises follow a specific sequence to encourage the development of specific skills. Therefore, you should be following the broader sequence. What about safety? Movement activities often use substantial space. Make sure that children have an open space to move in. All of these exercises need only the space around the child, more or less the length of their outstretched arms. So they can easily do it in the classroom where there are a few desks. Prevent injuries by doing exercises a distance away from chairs, tables, other furniture and walls. As I said, about an arm's length distance should be fine. Children can sometimes be silly, especially if they find an activity challenging. I call this clowning and see it when a child is unsure of abilities or expect failure. Support these children. They often need one-on-one support, hand-holding and encouragement. Children should repeat the exercises to practice, but they should not be overly fatigued. When a child feels dizzy, when doing especially rotations, spinning or log rolling, stop the child and encourage the child to do heavy muscle work. For example, wall push-ups, as you can see on the slide. The child should continue with the push-ups until no dizziness is experienced. The child can repeat the rotation exercises, but should do few repetitions and use slower movements. Teachers have time to observe the children while they participate in these exercises. CoordiClass should encourage optimal concentration. Make use of the free Skype consultation per school to discuss specific issues in your classroom. CoordiClass provides you with the opportunity to identify specific problems in some of the children in your class. You might consider to refer the child to a professional or to give extra exercises for the child to do at home. We would love to hear from you. You can make use of the free Skype consultation to discuss issues. We are open for suggestions and feedback. Please send us information about your and your students' experiences. Video clips of your class would be valued and handled confidentially. We are sure that you will see the benefits very soon and that you and your class will enjoy this program.